that you can grow and become a millionaire in all 6 aspects of health. This isn't just about money. We do episodes and teachings and clues and tips and advice on your physical health to be a millionaire, your mental health, your social health, your spiritual health, your intellectual health, and of course, this episode, your financial health. Today, we're going to be talking about spending and how to improve your financial health with spending. My tip is buy 17 Lamborghinis. Just kidding. We'll get to that later. This show is built on the fundamental belief that every person you meet knows something that you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone on this planet. It's amazing. It's true. Anywhere you go, people can teach you things. In the spirit of authenticity, I don't even know who our guests are till about 15 to 20 minutes before the show when we go over the organization and how it's going to go. Today we have a new guest. We do have 2 repeats that have some awesome tips to give us. And audience, please get involved. Ask questions. We will repeat them live and put them on the hot seat. We love hearing and reading all your comments. If you have your own podcast, here's 4 awesome guests right here. I'd love to be on it, and these guests love being on podcasts, so feel free to reach out. All of our Instagrams and socials will be dropped as we appear on the show. It's going to be great. If you want to be a guest on the show, we always love guests, and I know that you have something you can share. Please sign up at www.millionairesaremade.com. The link's being dropped right now. It's going to be a great time. It's super simple and easy, and we know that you have something to share, and we'd love to hear it and share your tip with the rest of the world. Our topic today is going to be spending, but we cover a wide array of topics, and we'd love to have new ones. If you are struggling with something or you want more information, just message us a word. We'll put it in as a topic. We'll go find 3 people that have tips for it, and we'll throw a whole show on that topic just for you. If you like what we do here, we're all about sharing and giving tips and advice and everything for free out so everybody in the world can grow. Please like us, subscribe, share, whatever it is on the social media that you're following us on. Helps us out a lot so we can keep going. And if you love getting free advice, I do also offer free coaching. Our link's being dropped right now. If you want a one-on-one time with me, I'd love to share everything I got for you. I'm all here to help. And that leads us to our amazing sponsors that let us keep doing this show. Our first sponsor is one of my favorites, obviously. Microgreen Nutrition at home today. It's called InstaFarm. Link dropped right now. Grow your own microgreens in your kitchen. It takes about 7 days. And then you get something like this that comes out of your kitchen. You do literally nothing. You add water once a week, and you get healthy, fresh, organic microgreens almost every day. I can't even eat them all. It grows too many. Our next sponsor is going to be Gunther's Adventures for you off-road fans that love cars and building them into crazy adventure mobiles. Gunther's Adventures is your one-stop shop for adventure, inspiration, and cleverly designed Toyota upgrades. Whether you're a seasoned overlander or a weekend warrior, Gunther's helps you push your Toyota further. Link being dropped. Go follow them. They do all sorts of crazy stuff, four-wheeling all around the world, Canada, the U.S., Go check them out and say hi. And our last sponsor today is going to be Whoopsie Hair Ties. Introducing Whoopsie Hair Ties, where style meets resilience. If you have hair tie problems, this is the one you need to go check out. Link is being dropped right now. They redefine the ordinary with their versatile, durable accessories, celebrate strength and uniqueness with every twist. Join and embrace the power of Whoopsie Hair Ties today. With all of that being said, let's dive into financial health and spending. So it's really easy to say spend less. Cool, awesome, that's fun. But how do we do that? Well, here's my little tip for you. What if you could save while you spend? So here is a cool little app. It's a little program that takes you connect your bank account, connect your credit cards, and every time you spend like $5.45, it takes that extra 55 cents and puts into an investment account. You'll almost never notice it's gone. You'll never even realize it until you have thousands of dollars a couple of years later. So when you spend, you're actually saving, and it's a really cool little tool. It's called Acorns. The link is being dropped now. I think you get $5 and you sign up for free and they'll invest for you. You can choose if you want your conservative or aggressive investments, and it just rounds up all the dollars you already spend. Obviously, you want to limit your spending, but at least now when you spend, you also save. All right, let's learn some more tips. First up, we are going to have Marianne, who is one of our favorite financial experts. Marianne, who are you?
Yes, I'm a spending coach, so I am thrilled to talk about all things spending.
Wonder if we made this episode just for you. I don't know. You ready to give us a tip? If I wanted to
I'm
improve my
ready.
financial health with spending, what piece of advice would you give us, spending coach?
Yes, I would say you need to start identifying what triggers the spend. A lot of the times we think spending just happens, but there's a lot of things that happen before then. There's events, situations, there's a hard day at work, there's stressors, and then there's the feelings we feel about that. And so instead of getting out the beating stick and saying, "Oh, why did I do that again? What was I thinking?" Think back and get curious. Like, what led up to that decision? What led up to me scrolling my phone when I was bored? And that can give us a lot of insight into those impulse decisions.
Do you have any idea what percent of, I guess, how do you even measure that? An impulse buy is on your phone nowadays?
Oh my gosh, I would say probably 80,
I was
90%. I
thinking
mean,
that too. I wonder if they'll ever do a study on,
they
how much
should.
one does.
They should because it's so hard not to be on your phone, and we're just constantly being marketed to, and we always have our phone, and it's just we've got to equip ourselves with the tools to stop spending before it happens because marketers will tell us exactly what we should buy, and we can't wait to be influenced. We need to just have those tools beforehand.
Yes, yes. So, man, tell us where on your life journey you learned this piece of information.
So it was born out of necessity. I've just struggled for years with spending, and I tried every type of budget and it just didn't fix my spending. And so that's when I started looking at what I was spending on. And I saw all the times I was spending on bargains and emotionally to fill emotional needs and voids. And seeing those trends and patterns, I was like, there's got to be some merit to this. That this has got to be something that everyone struggles with. And I developed a spending types quiz that identifies
Oh,
what your primary drive is to overspend. And so I linked that in the you'll link that with the this note with the show. But yeah, it just really helps to identify what drives that urge, and then I teach how to become unshoppable, how to just overcome that urge to shop because there are just so many things that influence us that push us to spend, but there are things that we can do to kind of arm ourselves with. We don't need everything we see. We can admire things without buying them.
admire them without buying. Yeah, that's good. So we just had a comment that goes, tried everything, still can't save a penny. What advice do you have to first time, people that are maybe they're young, just starting out, but what's the very first step to reducing your spending or to
Sure.
spending efficiently?
Yeah, I would say that you need to identify just those impulse buys that happen, at the grocery store. Just things that you throw in your cart, and you need to ask yourself why. A good example is with food. Everyone can cut back with food, and we think, food it's a need, and yes, it's a need, but we buy food for different reasons. Sometimes it is to fill that need for hunger, but then other times it's to fill that need for I'm bored, I just want to eat, and then or I feel crappy, I want to feel better. And so start asking yourself, why am I buying food? And then you can ask yourself, why am I buying these items? Is it to feel better about myself? Is it to feel better about my life? Is it to reward myself? And you start asking yourselves these questions because there's a need that's not being met, and we're filling it with shopping, we're filling it with spending, and we need to identify that void that we're trying to fill with spending. It's never going to be filled with spending. It's just going to be filled with meaningless stuff that you're just going to be constantly filling and filling and filling and filling. and never reaching that level of satisfaction. And so just asking yourself, why am I buying this? Is it just an impulse buy? Is it to feel better about my situation? Things like that, to start questioning and start recognizing that there is a pause, there is a moment of decision. We don't have to just see something and buy it.
Good points. Good points. I learned, I just finished Ramadan like a couple weeks ago, and man, I learned you really don't need nearly as much food as you thought you did. I mean, 3 meals a day, eat till you're stuffed, all that. Like, man, it was pretty eye-opening how little I actually need to spend on food.
Yeah.
All right, Marianne, thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next guest. Hi, Bree. Who are you?
Hi, my name is Bree Lafferty, and I'm a award-winning author twice over, as well as a passionate death and spiritual doula.
Woohoo! That's fun. A death doula on a financial episode. Can't wait for this. Hey, Bree, if I wanted to improve my financial health with spending, what tip would you give me?
Yeah, it's don't spend what you don't have.
Okay, how do I know what I have?
Yeah, so really what you need to know is if you have a loan, if something is financed, if you have to pay anything back at any time, is not yours. So that is, yeah, it's not yours. So that's a really, big way to find out what you do have and what you don't have. Basically, what you have is cash. If it is not able to be converted in cash that you can keep indefinitely, then you don't have it.
All right, that's a good, simple way to look at it. Where on your life journey did you learn that tip?
Yeah, so this tip did not come on my journey of becoming a death and spiritual doula. Specifically, I wish I had a cool way to tie it in. There is finances that I can help people with on their end of life journey, point them in the right directions and stuff. Okay. However, how I learned this was I grew up in a family that was always, for generations, was always learning more about financial health. And so I grew up with, different tactics like budgeting and this cash system. So we'd have cash in envelopes dedicated to a certain topics, certain items in our life. So we had tithe money, food money, play money, clothes money. It was very basic for a kid. And then free money that I could, savings. I could put the free money towards any of those other categories, and we just use cash only. It's very anti-credit card, which ended up being kind of detrimental to me in the long run. But I treat my credit card the same way I treat those systems. If I do not have that cash available, that is mine, not a loan.
It sounds like you listen to Dave Ramsey quite a bit. Is that true?
That was one course we took as a kid.
Good old Dave Ramsey.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it let me have I'm now in my 30s and still have never been in any debt other than owning my house that I bought at 19 and then flipped that. So yeah, his program was very beneficial for my whole life.
Good. Check out Bree. Check out Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey has definitely good advice. That's for damn sure. Cool. Awesome, Bree. Well, we are going to move on to our next guest, who is a fresh face around here. Welcome, Cody.
How's it going? Happy to be here.
Hey, Cody. Who are you?
Yeah, so my name is Cody Sizemore. I'm the founder of Sizemore Financial Coaching, and I'm a financial coach that helps people get out of debt, build up their savings, start investing, all that good stuff. But I also have a really big emphasis on money psychology. So how money affects you mentally, emotionally, and even relationally, for those of you who are married as well.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's get into the good stuff, Cody. If I wanted to improve my financial health, with spending, what piece of advice would you give me?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and honestly, there's so many things I could talk about, but if I had to narrow it down to one, I think it's really important for people to figure out why they even want to do that in the first place. Because it's like, if you start off, trying to say like, oh, I need to save money and I need to stop spending so much money. Like, if you only start there and you're like, well, I need to save money, like, that's why I need to stop spending. It's like, okay, but like, what for? Like how far is that going to get you? Like, that doesn't really matter. Like, saving money is cool, but like, it's not fun. Like, people don't like saving money. They like spending money. So how are you going to get excited about that? So I think it's important to kind of peel back those layers to really figure out like what that actual reason why is, So if you ask yourself that question, like, well, why do I want to stop spending? And the answer is, well, to save. Then ask yourself that same question. Well, why do I want to save? Well, because I want to get out of debt. Okay, well, why do you want to get out of debt? Well, because, I want to be able to, live a happy life. Okay, well, why do you want to live a happy life? And like, keep going until you actually find something that actually matters to you, that actually lights you on fire. And then you'll actually want to stop spending and you'll actually want to turn things around. And that's where the real power lives, I found.
Interesting. It's like digging in a rabbit hole, going down a rabbit hole into yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're just finding that thing that like is actually worth fighting for, because when you're stressed out or you had a long day or you're just looking for a little bit of relief, there's there's really not a lot to fight for. Like, you're just looking for that thing that's going to give you a little bit of a dopamine hit. But if you have that thing that's worth fighting for, then it's like, hey, I'm going to keep pushing through this because this actually is important to me. Like, it actually touches my heart. It's bigger than me, kind of thing. So that's what I found that really, really helps, curb people's spending habits and actually makes them want to do it.
I like it. Where on your life journey did you learn this?
Has nothing to do with money at all. Actually, it has to do with a different journey that I went on, which was weight loss. Struggled with my weight my entire life. Very overweight. And, I always did the yo-yo where like I'd lose a ton of weight and then I gain it back. I'd lose a ton, I'd gain it back. And finally I was like, why do I keep doing this? Like, what's the reason? And the reason was because I was focused on those external results. So things like the number on the scale, approval from other people, all that kind of stuff. So as soon as I got it, I was like, sweet, I got it. Now I don't need to care anymore. And when you shift it to like an internal reason, something that actually matters, something that's bigger than you, something that's close to your heart, when you lose that weight, like, this is why I want it and I'm not giving it up for nothing, kind of thing. And since then I've lost a ton of weight. I kept it off. And it was the same thing with my spending too. Like, I just applied that same lesson to my spending and everything just changed completely from there.
Very cool. All right. Well, you look great, so that's good. I don't know your financial health, but I hope it looks great too.
That's looking good too. So.
All right. Good. All right. Well, any last bits? You got about another minute left if you want to tell us some more, drop some more knowledge on us.
Yeah, man. I think that, just kind of like circling around, Marianne talked about the triggering and then Bree talked about the different spending habits too. One thing that I think is important just to like understand about this is that when it comes to investing or saving or paying out of debt or getting out of debt rather, it's not just a one track pony kind of thing. Like, there are different levels, and it's important to address all of these things so that you can kind of have like this trifecta of things all working together in harmony. And then that's when you're going to actually like not just see the results with your bank account, but you're going to feel more aligned with your money. You're going to have a better relationship with your money. You're going to be more confident. You're going to have better communication with your spouse, all these different types of things. And I always tell people all the time that money is not everything, but it sure as hell affects everything. Yeah. And everything affects your money too. So if you can get that thing that affects all other things in a really good spot, it's going to be like a rising tide lifts all boats.
Awesome. Well, we've got a question from the audience, but I'm going to bring Marianne and Bree out and make all of you answer it. And it is up right now. How do I start saving?
It's a big one.
Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, I would say like when it comes to any sort of goal, whether it be saving, paying off debt, whatever, our first gut reaction is to just go all in, and sometimes that works for people. Like some people operate best that way. But for the majority of people, it's not necessarily the case. So what I would do is like I just go one month by month and just increase like a savings level by 10%. So if you're able to save $100 one month, then the next month do 110. And then the next month after that, do 121. And something like that, right? And then once you kind of get yourself kind of eased into that habit of intentionally increasing that savings, you're going to find yourself, getting that momentum to where you're going to be able to bump it up to 20, 30, 40% after a few months, to where it's going to become natural at that point. But, you don't need to start off like with just biting off the biggest chunk you can get. Just take a couple nibbles, and then eventually you'll get a good taste of it, and you'll be like, I really like this. I want more. And then we can start chowing down.
And then we can start chowing down. Marianne, what, you got any thoughts on that question from the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's important to make it visual and make sure that you are highlighting what you're saving, because a lot of times we save money or we don't spend and we save money, and then that money just gets lost into checking. It just gets put back into checking and then it gets spent. And so our brain goes, well, I saved money, but I spent it. So what's the point? Why do I even spend? Or why do I even save in the first place? I might as well just spend it on what I want. And so when we intentionally save that $100, $101, like Cody was saying, we need to have something visual or put it into a separate account so we can watch it grow, so we can see that when we're actually making those intentional decisions to not spend and to save, it goes somewhere and it goes toward our goal. And I would add what Cody was saying, you're saving for what? What is your goal? And we have to have a buy-in, because otherwise we're going to have those temptations and it's like, well, that's more tempting than just saving. I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy my money. Well, what am I saving for? What little luxuries am I saving for?
And Bree, what are your tips to start saving?
Yeah, treat yourself like a bill if you need to. That you owe yourself $10, or not $10, 10% of what
Ooh.
you make every paycheck, and make yourself a priority. And if you need to make yourself a bill to do that, instead of just like, oh, some people have the conflicts where they're like, well, I've got all these other bills. I can't afford to pay myself 10%. But if you focus and change your mindset that you are a priority and this is required, you pay yourself 10% of whatever you make. And whether that, is per paycheck, per month, whatever, just pay yourself 10%.
I like it. Make yourself a bill. I like it. Yeah, that was great. All right, well, let's keep going then. Let's quickly run through. Marianne, can you quickly refresh what your tip was for us?
Sure. So mine was identifying what triggered that urge to spend. What got you on your phone? What got you on Amazon? Were you bored? Were you feeling down about life? What were you searching for in scrolling or going to the mall? And starting to identify those external and internal triggers, because spending doesn't just happen. There's a lot of things that lead up to it.
Bree, what are your thoughts on her tip?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Everything triggers, a response. And I would love to extend that to even, you said at the grocery store, I would say fast food is a lot of impulse, spending as well. Something triggers that, sometimes it's hunger, but sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I am craving this cheeseburger from this place, or something like that. Why are you having these cravings? What's going on? So I just absolutely agree, and you can look at that in no matter where you're spending it, online, offline, in person, doesn't matter. There is always a trigger.
That was cool. Cody, what are your thoughts on that?
I love it too. I think that that's probably one of the first things that you should do is, figuring out what those triggers are and where they come from and why they're happening. Even like last night, I have like a group program, and I was talking about the relationship with money with them, and talking about a lot about like these spending habits and, what they kind of look like and all that kind of stuff. And by the end of it, there was like tears, and it wasn't like, oh my God, Cody, what are you doing to me? But it was like tears of like, I finally understand where this is coming from and how to overcome it. And those people were so like empowered, and they were ignited with passion to like actually start doing that thing that they always thought was not fun, which was like budgeting and stuff like that. So I think the relationship with money is extremely important, which is exactly what Marianne was talking about, is figuring out those triggers and how to overcome them.
I agree with that. Dang. Bree, can you quickly refresh what your tip was for us?
Yeah, don't spend what you don't have.
Cody, thoughts?
Yeah, probably like finances 101 right there, like super, super important. And Bree, like I had a little bit of a different, story from you. Like, you mentioned that you went through the Ramsey course and you stay out of debt all the way through. That wasn't me. I definitely had myself in a decent amount of debt, and I had to work myself out. And that was a big, big lesson, because that spending of money that I didn't have, it affected my mental health. It affected my relationships. It affected my career choices. I actually had to give up on a dream because of it, because it just buried me, So would I do it differently looking back? No, just because I'm where I'm at because of, what I went through. But, if I had to, tell anyone like, hey, you don't have to go through that hardship, then I would definitely say like, yeah, like don't spend the money that you don't have, and just keep building. Like it's easier to build from the ground up versus, a hole that's like 50 feet down. You need a ladder at that point. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. Marianne, what are your thoughts?
I would say there needs to be an awareness of the money you have to spend. I think that you need to see outside of bills, outside of those fixed expenses, what do you actually have to spend? And it's a lot less than we think. We tend to rely on either credit cards, or we rely on like our total amount in checking, and that's not representative of how much we have to spend. We only have, most of us, a couple $100s. It's not $500,000. It's not very much. And so that's where we really want to be conscious about how we're spending that money. We want it to be intentional.
Nice. Cody, can you quickly refresh what your tip was?
Yeah, mine was just figuring out like why you want to curb the spending habits in the first place. Making it bigger than just, I want to stop spending money, making it bigger than I want to start saving, but actually finding like that deeper reason.
Bree, what are your thoughts on that tip?
Yeah, so this one I can actually tie into death and spiritual dueling, as well as as well as everything. Like you mentioned, you found the why behind weight loss and being successful at keeping it off. I ask, people who are at the end of their life as a death doula, what's their why? Why do you want to mend relationships? Why do you want to go out this way? Why do you want to be remembered, and what you want to be remembered for? And as a spiritual doula, why do you want to connect yourself? Why do you want to birth into your spiritual awareness? Is it for physical healing? Is it for more awareness? Is it for emotional, mental healing? Getting that why is absolutely instrumental in our whole life. Often we run on defaults, much like Mary said. We just automatically go, whoo, that shopping purchase, woo, makes me feel good. It's a rush. And we're often on default. So if we could get to the why, we can then become aware of all of our choices, all of our thoughts, all of our feelings, and all of our actions.
I love it. Awesome, guys. Well, this is great. Let's get a little more difficult. Now is our time to come up with our daily challenge. It needs to take less than 5 minutes, cost $0, and be available to anyone in the world from Fiji to Kathmandu. What are your thoughts? How do we improve our financial health with spending in less than 5 minutes for free?
Yeah.
I would say, oh, go ahead, Cody.
Sorry, yeah, you can go right when I'm done. But I was just gonna say, I think that there's a way to tie all three of these together, which I think is like just ask yourself, like, why do I want to stop? Just do that exercise, like, like peel back those layers. And I think that by doing that, it'll also answer some of those trigger questions as well, as to like, you can even ask yourself that as a separate exercise, like, what makes me want to buy, kind of thing. And you start with those two, and then it all kind of comes together to support Bree's point, which is, don't spend what you don't have. So that's something you can do for free. It might take 5-10 minutes to do, and then just hang it up on your wall as a nice reminder. That's what I was thinking. But Marianne, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I was going to say that same idea, that you need to have your deeper why. I'm going to save money so that I can, and fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't feel restricted. So you don't feel like you have to cut costs, because no one likes that. It's spending less in areas you don't care about, so you can spend more in the areas you do. And that's motivating for almost everyone. And so I would just add to that, if you're spending money in somewhere, then it has to come from someplace. And so a lot of the times we do mental math, and our mental math doesn't work. It's like, oh, I spent $50 over in this area. Well, I'll spend less in this category. Like, we don't, but that mental math never actually makes it. We'll say, oh, I'll just do better next month. And so we need to be conscious that I spent $50 more than I was supposed to. That means I have to spend $50 less in whatever area you want to cut from. And then it's, again, so that I can, and then fill in the blank. Because, again, we don't like to cut costs without knowing what's in it for us.
All right, here's our daily challenge. I think this is going to be actually a really interesting one. Go to a previous week, hopefully in like the last 6 months, 3 months, and write down all the transactions, and then write down why you spent that.
That's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one.
I
guarantee there's going to be a lot of people who say, I don't know.
And then the next step is to go hit up Cody, Bree, and Marianne and say, holy fuck, this isn't good.
There you go.
I don't even have answers for some of these. Help me. I think that's a really good one, though. I mean, it hits all three of you kind of talked about, the why, the mentality of spending. And so, I mean, if we actually sat down and, so for like tomorrow, so we have 7 days to do this challenge, right? Each day. So if we go back the next 7 weeks over the last 2 months, I mean, you should be seeing patterns. You should be seeing reasons. You should be seeing, holy fuck. You should be seeing all that kind of stuff. And almost a lot of people don't use cash. So if you are a cash heavy person, well, this might be easier for you. And we'll have to you have to hit up Marianne or Cody and ask for something more specific. But for the people that love their credit cards and auto pays and subscriptions, I mean, how many people actually check their bank account and their transactions? I don't know. But a week's worth of transactions, what do you guys think that is? Like 50 things, maybe 5 per day?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's different, but yeah, that's probably an average.
On average, you're going to be looking through like maybe 40 to 50 different transactions and writing down why I spent that, why I spent that, why I spent that. And hopefully you'll see some sort of pattern, some sort of knowledge, and some sort of learning.
Yeah. And I would say get curious. Don't get down on yourself. Say, oh, look to find money. I don't have money to save. Look with the intention of finding money that you can put elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome, guys. All right, well, we're going to have to wrap this show up. Thank you guys so much for coming out. It was a great show. Bree disappeared somewhere into internet space. We'll thank her later. I'm going to put you guys backstage and wrap it up. Thank you all again for watching another episode of Millionaires Are Made. We went over financial health and spending. Had some awesome discussion, great tips. Our daily challenge is go to your bank statement for an entire week within the last 6 months and write down all the transactions and then write down why you spent that. I guarantee you're going to learn something about your thought process and your spending habits, and it probably won't be something that you like. That was a good episode. I hope a lot of you learned a lot, did a lot. We had a lot of audience members commenting, learning how to spend, how to save, how to spend intelligently. Go download Acorns if you want to spend and save at the same time.